Hey guys, welcome to yoga. So this class is going to be all about your hips. So we're going to be doing some hip stretching, but also a lot of hip strengthening. I'm working on all the movements that happen in the hip. The hip is a ball and socket joint, so we'll be doing internal rotation, external rotation. We'll get the front, the side, and the back of the hip, so your hamstrings as well. So hopefully you'll walk away from this class feeling really strong and really stretched at the same time. We're going to start with a seated stretch. So legs are going to be crossed mid-calf or mid-shin. And then I'm going to have you flex your feet so that your ankles are supported. Okay, from here, take your hands out in front of you and just gently start to walk your way forward. Now, as you do this, I want you to stick your hips out behind you and reach your chest forward in front of you. And then you can keep coming down to whatever extent feels good in your body. So maybe that means you could come all the way forward. Maybe it means you stay seated. And take 3 breaths here, breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. Again, breathe in. And breathe out. Now slowly walk your hands back. We're gonna just take those hands behind us, tent up onto your fingertips, lean back, switch the cross of the legs. So the opposite shin comes forward. Again, cross mid-calf or mid-shin, flex your feet, take your fingertips forward and slowly start to walk your way out. As I walk my fingertips forward, I'm pushing my hips back and down into the mat behind me. And then just go ahead and let your head relax down towards the ground. You could rest your head on a block or whatever is available for you. Take 3 breaths, breathe in, and breathe out. Again, breathe in and breathe out. One more time, breathe in and breathe out. Good, we'll inhale, come all the way back up, walk your hands in. And then just exhale as you arrive to center. Okay, so from here, we'll come onto our hands and our knees in a tabletop position. And once you get into tabletop, just start to kind of rock your hips side to side. So imagine that you kind of had this like big, bushy, beautiful tail behind you. And as you rock your hips side to side, just kind of gaze back. Imagine you could see your tail. Just go back and forth a couple more times. Good, and then come back to center to neutral. From here, step your right leg behind you. So the toes will be tucked on the right leg. The left toes are going to be untucked. We'll turn that right heel to point down into the ground. Firm your left hip in and reach your right arm up. So you find your balance here. We're going to slowly lift the leg up to the height of the hip. Take the top arm forward, 1 big breath. And then exhale, we'll just come right back up, the arm, right back down with the leg. So come to center, hand down, knee down. Same thing, step your left foot back, turn the heel down. Reach your left arm up. And slowly lift the leg up to the height of the hip. Take your top arm out over your ear. Just 1 big breath in. And re-extend that top arm up. Bring the left heel down. And bring the left hand and knee down. Now from here, we'll tuck all 10 toes under and just kind of push your hips back to your heels. So you get a stretch in the arches of your feet and in all 10 toes. And then we'll slowly transition from here into downward facing dog. So gently lift the knees, draw your hips up and back. If you live in a tighter body, you might want to keep a bend in those knees. And if it's available for you, you could start to reach your heels down towards the ground, activating the backs of the legs, getting those hamstrings really stretched out here. All right, and we'll take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, step your right foot all the way up outside of your right hand. Lift the chest forward, take a breath in. And then exhale right back to your downward facing dog. Good, breathe in. Step your left foot all the way up. As you exhale, drop the hips down, lift the chest up. And step right back into your down dog. So we're gonna do that a few times. Right foot steps forward. Roll the shoulders forward, take an in-breath. As you exhale, step back into down dog. Left foot steps forward. Roll the shoulders forward, take a big in breath. And then left foot steps back into down dog. One more each side. Right foot, breathe in. And step back. Left foot, breathe in. And step back. All right, hold in down dog for a breath or two. Feel your arms and legs really engaged. Draw your belly in. And lift your sit bones up. All right, from down dog, we'll step your feet together to touch. We're gonna lift the right leg up and back behind us. Go ahead and bend into the right knee. So you're keeping your hips square here. As you bend your right knee, we're gonna lift the right knee up towards the ceiling. So you'll feel this in the back of the left leg, the left hamstring, maybe even the calf muscle. So we'll get that stretch for a breath or two. And then we'll lift up high onto the left tip toes. So you might be able to lift your right knee a little higher as you do that. Keep the right knee lifted pretty high and then slowly start to firm your left hip in to stack your right hip on top of the left hip. So you're opening up now. We'll take a deep breath in. And then on your exhale, take your right knee all the way across to your left elbow. Inhale, open it up to your right elbow. And then sweep it all the way up and back. Open the hip. We'll do that again. Exhale, right knee to left elbow. Inhale to the right. Sweep it up and back, open the hip. Now this time, we're gonna pull the right knee into your chest and gently step your foot in between your hands. So from here, we'll draw the back knee down onto the yoga mat, untucking those back toes behind us. So you wanna make sure that the top of the foot is on the ground here, that your right knee is stacked over your right ankle. And once you've got that, just push your hands down into the knee to lift your torso up. So now we're working on the hip flexor on the left side. So that's the front of the hip. So I want you to drop your hips down pretty low, but as you do that, make sure you're not just sticking your belly and your chest out, right? Draw your navel in and engage. So imagine you could lift the back of your ribs up, off the back of the hips. Maybe your arms could reach up. Breathe here. So with every inhale, I'm going to try to lift my ribs a little higher. And with every exhale, I see if I can drop my hips down a little bit lower. Breathing in and breathing out. Again, breathe in and breathe out. Now slowly take your hands down to the ground. Tuck the back toes under. Lift your back knee up off the mat. All right, from here, plant your hands down, step back into plank position. Take a breath in plank, slide your chest forward, your shoulders back. And as you exhale, we'll push all the way up and back, downward facing dog. So once we get to down dog, bring your feet together to touch. From here, lift the left leg up and back behind you. Make sure you're not opening your left hip, keep the hip square. And then go ahead and bend the left knee, lifting that knee as high up towards the ceiling as you can. So you're gonna feel that stretch in the right hamstring, the back of the right leg. Breathe here. And then maybe you could lift up onto your right tiptoes. Maybe that left knee could lift a little higher. Now we'll slowly start to keep the knee lifted, just feel the right hip firming in. That's gonna stack the left hip on top of the right. Take a deep breath in. On your exhale, cross your left knee to your right elbow. Inhale, open it to the left, and then sweep it all the way up and back. We'll do that again. Exhale, left knee to right elbow. Inhale to the left. Sweep it all the way up and back. Now this time, pull the knee into your chest. Gently step your foot in between the hands. Take the back knee down onto the mat and then untuck the back toes. So you're on the top of that back foot. And once you've done that, walk your hands up to your front knee and you can gently push your torso away from the front knee. So you're drawing your navel in and up here, and the hips are descending as you do that. The rib cage is lifting. So you'll really feel this into that right hip flexor as much as possible. Go ahead and reach your arms up and breathe. So every inhale, the ribs lift. Every exhale, the hips descend a little more. Try to keep the back leg really active. Breathe in and breathe out. One more time, breathe in and breathe out. I'll take my hands back down to the mat, tuck the back toes under, and from here, lift that back knee up. Now, I'm gonna step all the way up to the top of my mat, feet about hips distance. On the inhale, I'll lengthen the spine, fingers to shins. Exhale, fold forward. I'm gonna do that 2 more times. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to fold. And then 1 more. Inhale, lengthen. And exhaling, fold. All right, and then we'll come all the way up, reach the arms overhead, take a big breath. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Okay, so step to the center of your mat. We're gonna face the side of the mat here and bring your feet together to touch. So we're gonna work on the hip rotation, strengthening the leg and strengthening that hip joint, as well as stretching it. So bring your hands to your hips, pull your right knee into your chest. And with that right knee lifted, I'm gonna have you start to internally rotate the leg. So turn the knee in and the foot out without lifting your outer right hip up. So this is why we keep the hands on the hips, to level the hips. Find the sort of the edge of your internal rotation. And then we'll do the opposite of that. Find external rotation with the shin up. And we're gonna start to open the leg out to the side as far as you can go. When you can't go any more on that external rotation, then again, we'll turn it back internal rotation. So try not to lift the right hip up. Keep moving the leg back behind you with that internal rotation. From here, we're gonna swing the leg all the way out to that opposite side of the yoga mat. Take your arms out wide without letting your foot touch the ground. See if you could bend your standing knee. So I want you to see how low you can go in that standing leg, keeping your right leg out to the side as far as possible. And then we're gonna come all the way back up to standing. Pull your knee into your chest, and then release the foot back down onto the mat. Okay, so shake it out before we start the second side. So I know this might be a little bit weird. We're working on that range of motion in your hip. You're also working on all your little stabilizing muscles in the standing leg. This is really good stuff for you. Okay, so stand tall, hands to your hips. This time we'll lift the left knee into the chest. So let's start with that internal rotation. Let the knee turn in, let the foot turn out. Just gonna find your edge here. And then we're gonna do the opposite of that. So external rotation. Now the foot lifts and the knee descends. Now with this external rotation, we'll start to open the knee out to the side. Try to keep your hips square as you open the leg out to the side. Find your edge. And when you can't go anymore, then come back to that internal rotation. So watch the outer hip isn't lifting up. Draw it down. Slowly begin to bring that leg all the way back behind you. And then from here, we take the arms out wide, kick your left foot all the way out to the side of your yoga mat. See how low you can go without letting the foot touch the floor. Bend your standing knee a lot. Find your balance. And then from here, we come all the way back up, pull the knee into your chest, and then set the foot down. Okay, shake it out. Whew. It's really good work. All right, so we're gonna take the feet out pretty wide, almost as wide as your mat. A good measure for this is to take your arms out wide and just to look where the palms of the hands are. That's about where your feet should be. From here, we'll turn the feet in, the toes out. Keep your arms out wide and then bend into your knees. So as your knees bend, you're gonna feel your glutes engage. The glute med, the glute min, and the glute max, they should all be working here. Your knees are gonna track directly over your second toe. So watch that the knees aren't collapsing in at all. Gently guide them open. And then we'll find your breath here. So sink deep into this position. You're gonna feel those inner thighs too, the groin. Breathe. Those are your adductor muscles, all these guys, so they're fired up here. Sink a little deeper. We're gonna get a nice stretch here in just a moment, so stick with it. And then we'll push down into both of the feet, okay? And we'll slowly straighten the legs, come all the way up. Now turn your toes in. Almost pigeon toe a little bit, so the toes are in, the heels are out. Okay, we'll take a deep breath in, lift the chest, and on your exhale, hinge halfway forward at first. Create some length in your torso, take another breath. And then exhale, fold all the way forward. So take your hands, grab hold of your ankles, and you don't have to grip really fiercely, just a gentle hold here. We'll start to pull yourself a little deeper into the stretch. So if you live in a really bendy body and your head is touching the floor, you might just bring your feet a little closer together. And if you live in a really tight body and your head is pretty far away from the floor, you might walk your feet further apart from each other. So again, we're getting to the back of the leg now, the hamstring. I want you to see if you could imagine the top of your sit bones pulling in towards each other. And as you pull in, you'll create some support for your hamstring. So it's active, but it's also getting a stretch. Breathe here. All right, really good. And from here, release holding onto those ankles. We're gonna turn the toes out, the heels in. Walk your hands over to your right foot. And as you do this, the right heel stays down, the right knee bends, and the left toes pop up to the ceiling. Okay, so we'll take that right arm on the inside of the knee and the thigh, sitting up tall here. And then if it's available for you, you could reach your left arm up. You might even bring that hand behind the head and just kind of gently lean back. Now in this position, I want you to sit your right butt cheek down. Right and left butt cheek down. You're gonna turn that right knee in to a 90-degree angle, so it's coming straight out from the hip. Your left leg is straight out in front of you. Okay, from this position, slowly start to walk your way over the front leg, getting a stretch, again into the hamstring. We'll just take 2 breaths here. And 1 more breath. Okay, slowly walk your way back in. Now take the knee, open the foot away from the knee, take the front leg, bend it to a 90-degree angle as well. So we have 2 90-degree angles here. I want you to stand up as tall as you can with your torso. So you might just bring your fingertips down to the ground here for support. You might be able to bring your hands to your heart and prayer position. Now without leaning forward too much, we're gonna see if you can lift the back right foot up off the ground. So this is activating your glute med, the outer hip. I want you to see if you can pull this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You release the foot down, bring the hands down. So re-extend the front leg, take that back foot, turn it in, open out just a little bit here. So we're coming right back into that skandasana, the side squat, lifting your butt cheeks up off of the yoga mat, okay, as best as you can. And then we'll switch sides. So walk your hands all the way over, bend into the left knee, pop your right toes up to the ceiling. Now that left arm comes inside the knee and the thigh. Maybe the right arm could reach up, shift your gaze up, and then you might even take that hand behind your head and just kind of lean the head back, open up your chest, breathe here. Now again, we're gonna slowly lower both hips, both butt cheeks down onto the yoga mat. So use your hands if you need to. Okay, let that back knee turn in. So it's at a 90-degree angle. And just keep the foot close to the butt for now. And then from this position, I'm gonna slowly just start to walk my hands forward over that front leg. So you might just come forward an inch, and that's okay. You might be able to get a little further. Take it wherever feels good for your body and breathe. Just 2 breaths here. Okay, and then we're going to slowly walk the hands back in. Now take the back leg, open the foot away from the glute, so it's a 90-degree angle. Take the front leg and match it. Bend into the front knee, same thing, 2 90-degree angles. Use your hands to sit up tall if you need it. Watch that you're not just completely leaning over onto the right butt cheek here. Sit up as straight as you can. And then without leaning forward very much, see if you can minimize that, lift your back foot up off the ground. And maybe you don't even need your hands. You could hover the hands as you hover that back foot. Hold here and breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently release your hands down, release the foot down. Come right back into it, so straighten the front leg, take the back foot, step it in. That should release if you have any sort of cramping in the glute med. And then just kind of open the foot out a little, right back up into our Skandasana, that side squat. From here, walk your hands back to center, straighten both legs. Bring your hands to your hips, and we'll come all the way up to standing. All right, so step up to the top of your yoga mat. We'll take one big breath in. Inhale, reach your arms up. And on your exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale to lengthen your spine. Exhale, step your right foot back, followed by the left foot, and come right into a plank position. From plank position, drop your knees down to the mat. Swing your hips over to one side and take the legs out in front of you. Okay, so we're gonna, again, now get into the front of the hip and the hip flexor. So your feet are about hips distance apart. Your hands come back behind you. Fingers can turn out just a little bit. I'm gonna push down into the feet to lift the hips up. Now, as the hips lift, I'm also lifting my chest up. So you can squeeze your glutes here, but make sure your knees don't splay out to the side. You wanna hug the knees into the midline of the body, lift the chest, and lift the hips. Hold here, and breathe. Take one more inhale, and exhale. Now on the exhale, we're gonna drop the hips down to the mat, bring your back down to the mat, come all the way down. And from here, we're gonna take one last little hip stretch. So there's gonna be two versions of the stretch. One is without the arms, and the next is in using the arms. So you'll take your legs straight up to the ceiling. We're gonna start by coming into reclined cow face pose. It's the weirdest name ever. However, for this first version of reclined cow face pose, we're not gonna use the hands to grip the legs or the feet. We're gonna use our own strength in the legs and the lower body to facilitate the stretch. So I'm crossing my right knee and thigh over the left knee and thigh, and then bending my knees. So here are the little floppy cow ears, right? And then I flex into the feet. Now, once my feet are flexed, instead of reaching down and grabbing and yanking on this, I wanna see how far apart I can separate my feet, right? So here they are close, now I'm pulling them apart from each other. And then I wanna see how far in I can pull the knees into my chest. All right, so I'm not using my arms at all. I'm using the strength of my legs. Now this is awesome. It's really engaging all of my outer hip and my outer leg here, the glute med area as well. So I'm just gonna breathe. It's also opening up my low back space. This is really nice to do after back bending or anything that your low back might feel a little off. This is a really great stretch. And then after you've been there for about 5 to 10 breaths without using the arms, then see if you could just reach down and easily grab hold of the shins or easily grab hold of the outer edges of the feet without cranking and reaching up and straining everything else, right? So we want this to be really kind of minimal with the arms and the upper body, using the lower body as much as possible. Okay, and then go ahead and release your hands and arms, unwind the legs, and rewind. So now the left leg crosses over the right, we bend the knees, and instead of the feet being close together, I'm gonna flex them, try to pull them apart from each other. And then I'm gonna see how far in I can pull the knees to my chest. So you'll feel all of the muscles in the outer hip activate. Breathe here. You should almost be shaking, you're working so hard. I can feel my body start to shake a little here. Last 3, 2, and then on 1, you're gonna reach down really effortlessly, grab the shins or the outer edges of the feet. Okay, so I'm a little tighter on the side, I can tell, because my left foot was a little bit harder to get to me. And that's okay. Not everyone is completely even on both sides, so just honoring that difference if you have one, and breathing. Okay, and then go ahead and release the feet, release the legs, unwind. Just take them up to the ceiling, grab the back of the legs, and slide your hands up. So either the back of the thigh, just kind of avoid the knee area because then we'll cause a deeper bend in the knee. We want to keep the legs relatively straight. So either the calf or the thigh, and then just kind of gently pull legs in towards you. Your inner thighs are kind of rotating forward and away from you. And then bend your knees, hug them into the chest, rock forward and backward along your spine, and come up to a seated position. Okay, so you guys are finished. So again, we did a lot of hip stuff today. This wasn't just stretching, it was a lot of strengthening and working on range of motion as well. Remember, it's really easy to grab and to yank things into place, and that kind of happens a lot in yoga. So just be mindful of that in your own practice. Try not to grab and yank. See how far you can go on your own without reaching down and grabbing. And then when you need it, if you need it, you can kind of do a little bit of an assistance or an adjustment with the hand. I hope you guys are feeling really strong and really stretched in those hips, and I'll see you back here next time.